Right as my teacher ends up leaving her desk, I ended up walking up to her desk afterwards to basically hand in my assignments. And right as I look at her computer to see what my grade was, I noticed that she had a tab open of the Devil's Hub. And I was in shock of why she had that open. Why was she searching this in the middle of a school day? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another really insane, but I gotta say, out-of-pocket story. So today's story all takes place back when I was in grade 9, and this was my first year of high school, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't the brightest kid, but at the same time, I was just getting into that zone of basically understanding women and becoming the master of the Devil's Tango. Like, no joke, the amount of research I put in to become the Rizzler was a lot, to the point where I actually ended up studying how to pull women more than actually focus on my own schoolwork. And over time, I started realizing that my grades weren't doing the best, and I remember there was this one specific day where in the middle of English class, I realized that my teacher ended up walking up to me, and she said to me, "Hey, Bubba, I need to talk to you after class, okay?" What about? "Oh, well, you'll see after class. Just make sure you're here, okay?" Yeah, I'll be here." I remember she ends up walking away, and I started to stress out because I really had no idea what she was going on about. But I remember after class, the bell ended up ringing, and all the students ended up leaving. And I just ended up sitting in my chair still because I was requested to stay in. I remember as I was sitting there, the teacher ends up walking into the classroom, and she says, "Okay, Bubba, can you come to my desk real quick?" Yeah, sure. Okay, what's up? I remember I went up to her desk, and basically she ended up showing me something on her school computer. And she ended up showing me how I was missing a lot of assignments. Like, no joke, I think I was missing more than 12 assignments, and I started to worry. It got to the point where I asked her, okay, I know I'm missing a lot. What can I do?" "Well, do you have all these to hand in?" No, not right now." "Okay, well, I'm gonna need you to make sure you get these done, okay? We can go through it together, but that just means you have to stay here every day after school and get it done." "Yeah, okay, I can do that. I can make that happen." I remember I was really happy that she gave me an alternative to actually, make sure I can catch up at least, because a lot of teachers would just straight up just be like, "You know what? You failed, GG's." But luckily for me, this teacher was somewhat nice, and I remember after that whole conversation, I ended up walking down the school hallway to get to my next class, and out of nowhere, one of my buddies ends up walking up to me saying, "Yo, Bubba, after school today, me and the guys are gonna go hang out with a group of girls. You wanna come down?" I would, but I gotta be honest, man, I gotta go to English after because I have to catch up on some work." "Oh, okay, well, just do it quick, aight? And then afterwards come after." I'll try to, yeah." I remember he ended up walking away, and me deep down, I was so upset because there was no way I was gonna spend my after schools for the next week just being with my English teacher. Like, it's gotta be the worst thing that ever happened to me. Anyways, after school came around, and I ended up walking into my English teacher's classroom, and when I went in there, I ended up sitting down waiting for her to walk in. She didn't walk in for a good 20 minutes, so I was just on my phone chilling, and then she finally walked in saying, "Oh, Bubba, you're here. Sorry I'm late. Had something going on." "Oh, all good. I understand." And basically, she ended up running through all the assignments for me, and we only had 30 minutes every day after school, which wasn't bad, but I'm not gonna lie, that 30 minutes felt like forever. You know that feeling when you're sitting in the classroom and basically what feels like what should be an hour feels like 4 to 5 hours? That's basically how I felt. Anyways, going on from there, we ended up getting some assignments done, and I still had a bunch to do, but luckily I got some assignments in, and she ended up giving me a lot of assignments to do back when I got home. And if I had any questions, just email her. So I ended up basically that day going home instead of hanging out with my friends, and I ended up doing the schoolwork, because if my parents found out that I was behind on English, well, they would be very upset because my first language is English since I'm born in Canada. I remember for the next couple days, it was the same thing over and over. I would basically go to her, she'd give me assignments, and bippity boppity boo, I would just do the schoolwork that I was supposed to do. But this is where things get really, really weird, because I remember one day, I think this was the 5th day of me going in there, I walked in there and I saw right as I walked in, she ended up basically closing a tab on her computer as fast as she could. I had really no idea why she was acting so weird, and I looked at her and said, "Oh, sorry, did I walk in at a bad time?" "Oh, no, you're fine. I was just, grading some stuff." "Oh, speaking of grades, I was just checking. Can I see what mine's at right now?" Yeah, you can after. Don't worry. I'll show you after we're done." Okay. Yeah, sounds good." And me and her, we ended up doing more assignments together, but then right after, out of nowhere, the principal ends up walking in to my classroom as she was in the middle of helping me with assignments, and he says to the teacher, "Ma'am, can I see you outside real quick?" "Oh, yeah. Bubba, finish your assignments. I'm gonna go talk to the principal real quick." I remember she ends up walking out of the classroom, and I'm just kind of sitting there bored doing my schoolwork that I was supposed to do. And once I finished the worksheet, I decided that, you know what, maybe she's not coming back, because at this point it's been over 20 minutes. So I ended up basically handing my worksheets that I had finished at home and also at school, and decided to just put it on her desk and leave it there for her to grade. But also, one thing that was still curious in my mind was what was my grade at. So I ended up basically putting these worksheets down, and I decided to take a quick glimpse over at, what my grade grade was. And as I'm scrolling through the list of people in my class and their grades, I realized that a lot of people were actually not passing my class, surprisingly. But not only that, I ended up looking at the top left corner of my screen where the tabs are on a computer for like different windows. And I noticed that she had a tab open that was, well, something that most teachers shouldn't have open. And that was the tab that rhymes with corn, pub. I think you guys kind of understand what I'm saying, but in this channel, we call it the Devil's Hub. She had that opened, and I remember I decided to click on it, and I realized she was watching dude on dude videos. I'm not gonna say anything more than that because obviously I don't want to get demonetized on this channel, but I'm gonna be for real here, I was in major shock. When I saw this, I was super confused on why she was watching this, and then right at that second, I ended up seeing the teacher walk into the classroom and says, Bubba, what are you doing on my computer? At that moment, I ended up closing the tab. Like, I fully pressed X on it, and she had the tab saved, but I guess I just fully closed it out, and she walked up to the computer, and she sat down at her desk and said, are you trying to like look at your grades? Oh, yeah, I didn't know where to look. Oh, okay, well, here, let me quickly show you. She ended up basically like going through like the grade sheet, trying to be like really not awkward, but you can definitely tell she was hiding something. And the teacher ended up looking at me and said, Bubba, did you touch anything on the computer? No, I didn't, to be honest. I was just moving the mouse. You were just moving the mouse? Yeah, just like around the screen. I guess, I don't know. I do it all the time with my own computer back at home. Okay, well, try not to touch my computer, okay? Yeah, I understand. Sorry. And at that moment, I ended up getting my backpack and walking out of the classroom. At that moment, I really did not know what to do or what to say. I felt really weirded out, and honestly, I didn't really know if I could ever see my teacher the same way. But things went from really weird to a lot worse, because I remember that same day, as I got home from school to do more assignments, I ended up getting an email from my teacher. She ended up using a different email than the school email, and I have no idea how I got it, but basically I ended up opening it, and it actually like said her full-on first and last name. Like, I was really in shock. And when I read the email, it went something like this, where she said, hey Bubba, I'm emailing you today to basically apologize for what you saw on my computer. Honestly, it was not meant to be seen by anyone. It was just something very inappropriate, and I apologize. Honestly, if you promise not to tell anyone about this, I'll make sure you pass my class, and on top of that, you won't have to do any of the assignments anymore. At that moment, I really felt weird because I didn't know what to think, but I'm like, you know what? If she's just gonna, let me pass, then hey, that's just a free grade. Like, I don't have to do any work. So I ended up emailing her back saying, yeah, like, no problem. It's all good. Just, don't let it happen again. I got scarred for life. I basically made it more severe than it actually was, but I'm gonna be honest, it was fine because I didn't want any more awkward tension between me and my teacher after that whole weird thing happened. But the next day when I walked into English class, I remember it was so funny because when I walked in, right away, the teacher starts staring at me as if like I knew her dirty little secret. And I basically ended up sitting down in that classroom, totally silent. And that day when she was actually handing out worksheets for us to do, she didn't even hand me one. My friend ended up looking at me saying, yo, Bubba, why aren't you doing the worksheet with us? Oh, I already did it earlier. Seriously? You got the homework early? That doesn't seem like you. Hey man, what can I say? I'm turning a new leaf is what I told him. And well, yeah, I ended up passing English while just keeping her secret. Honestly, if you guys would do the same deal, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.